So, what is a summary of the history and issues regarding the case?
In April of 1816, the Congress of the United States passed an act titled An Act to Incorporate the Subscribers to the Bank of the United States. The bank had gone full in Philadelphia, so in 1817 a branch was opened in Baltimore, Maryland. Then in 1818, in February, General Assembly of Maryland passed an act entitled An Act to Impose a Tax on All Banks in the State of Maryland, not chartered by the legislature. James McCulloch, head of the Baltimore branch, had refused to pay the tax. So he hired John James, who was a lawyer, had him file a lawsuit, and the case was appealed to the Maryland Court of Appeals. And in the Court of Appeals, the state of Maryland argued that the Constitution is silent on the subject of banks. The lower courts had ruled that this was unconstitutional. They ruled in favor of this because the Constitution did not specifically specify that the federal government could charter a bank.
Welcome to the United States circa 1918, a land of new promise, new opportunity, and an ever-changing government. Not long before, Secretary of the Treasury Alexander Hamilton, in an effort to dissolve the national debt, instituted the creation of the Federal Bank of the United States. The creation of the bank caused much controversy amongst the Federalist and Republican parties as to whether it should have been created in the first place because a charter for a national bank was not specifically stated in the Constitution. However, the bank was set up and branches created and built in the sovereign state. In opposition, the state of Maryland created a tax on banknotes. James W. McCulloch, cashier.
Suit yourself, Mr. James. Beg pardon? We have no intention of paying the state tax. Not now, not at any time in the future. $500 for...
Demanded that James W. McCulloch pay the tax on the notes as well as a $2,500 fine. The state of Maryland then threatened to take the case to court.
Well, if under the circumstances you want to take us to court, please do.
So, what was a summary of the Supreme Court decision and how did it rule?
The Supreme Court had said that Congress does have the power to charter the banks. And they ruled this way due to the Chief of Justice Marshall's arguments. Marshall stated that the government was supreme and could set rules based on the consent of the people. He also talked about the taxing and spending clause, also about the necessary and proper clause. He, who was Marshall, also explained that the necessary and proper clause does not require all federal laws to be necessary and proper. Quote.
This was filed by John James, an informer for the state of Maryland, and went into the Baltimore County Court. However, the case was appealed to the Maryland Court of Appeals, where Maryland law was upheld, stating the argument that the Constitution contained no such laws that guaranteed a federal bank. Maryland won. The case was then appealed to the Supreme Court. John Marshall, the Chief Justice at the time, presided over the case. Marshall held high beliefs in the United States and its Constitution and stood by his words. The real question was, did the state of Maryland have the constitutional right to tax the federal bank?
What is the significance of the Supreme Court case?
Well, the precedent set in the case was that the Bank of the United States can establish its branches in any state. It also said states, including Maryland, cannot tax the federal governments, which are the banks. The case didn't really change anything. It just limited the powers of the states. The impact of the case showed how powerful the federal government was and how it showed what they could do. The American citizens see sort out of the government works and what really goes on when it comes to the banks and power.